I came, I saw, I conquered. His words have touched and encouraged numerous people for more than 2,000 years. His love affairs with Egypt's queen Cleopatra have been told from Roman times to 21st century. His stories of conquest have spread in all ages and in all countries. He is Julius Caesar, a great conqueror, the first dictator in Rome. Yet he was killed by a group of people he trusted deeply. How dramatic history is! In fact, the real truth of Caesar's death is still unknown today. There are many versions of his death: academic versions, popular versions, and even a funny version. People's curiosity about his death is everlasting, especially the British. As we know, Caesar and his Roman troops invaded the island of Great Britain twice. British recorded history began with his first invasion, the year 55 BC. Julius Caesar's influence on England is beyond your imagination. Can you believe such a dictator is commonly found in daily life? As Caesar has turned out to be a 365-day Caesar calendar, which includes July, named after Caesar. How about the Caesar salad, which is taken at table? There's also a Caesar Palace, a casino in Las Vegas, and the Little Caesars, a pizza restaurant. Even women's abdominal delivery has another name, cesarean section, because Caesar was given birth by such a surgery. Perhaps it is people's everlasting curiosity of his death that makes Caesar still heard of today. After Caesar's invasions, Britain was under the Roman occupation for nearly 400 years, which is historically called Roman Britain. Though it was never a total occupation, the Roman conquest did have an influence on the nation. The British people were greatly connected with Roman civilization. The Romans built a network of roads between the large towns. The system of roads was one of their greatest achievements. The old saying, "All roads lead to Rome," have a good evidence. The Romans made good use of Britain's natural resources, mining lead, iron, tin, and clay for pottery. British agricultural products were moved from farm to market. What's more, the Romans brought to Britain the new religion, Christianity, which had thoroughly replaced the old Celtic gods by the close of 4th century. The Roman mode of life also came across Britain. Besides roads, towns, baths, temples, amphitheaters, and beautiful villas were built quickly in the land. But the Romanization was not so successful in other areas like language and the culture of ordinary Celts. Most of the native people didn't do as Romans do, and Latin didn't replace the Celtic language, but only enriched it. Britain was deeply influenced by Julius Caesar and the Roman Empire. The Roman troops brought in their Roman civilization and left behind a Celtic Roman culture. With the Roman conquest, Great Britain lifted her veil and began to play her role on the stage of the world. Any emperor in Roman Empire was called Caesar. Every emperor in China was called Huangdi after Qing dynasty. But the story of Qin Shi Huang was 159 years earlier than that of Julius Caesar. When Emperor Qin unified the 6 kingdoms and made China as a whole, what happened in Great Britain? It was still in the late tribal society. There was no union among the tribes, and the wars were frequent. By the time of Julius Caesar, the Celts had dominated the British Isles. They lived in villages and oppidas with the concept of division of labor. They made and used iron tools. They had their own coinage, religion, and developed a mixed farming society. By comparison, feudalism in China was deep-set and got early development. It lasted for nearly 2,100 years till the Revolution of 1911. The feudalism in Britain was completely established in Norman conquest, more than 1,300 years later than China. Under William the Conqueror, the feudal system allowed the king to own all the land privately. William gave his barons large estates to return for promise of military service and a part of the land's produce. The barons parceled the land to lesser nobles, knights, and freemen, also in return for goods and services. At the bottom of the feudal system were the serfs with no freedom. One peculiar feature of the British feudalism was that all landowners must take the oath of allegiance not only to the Lord, but also to the king. After the 100 Years' War, feudalism declined because of the awareness of English nationalism and the rise of social position of the bourgeois class. Did British feudalism last as long as Chinese one? The answer is definitely no. The feudal system ended by the English Civil War. The war also shook the foundation of the feudal rule in Europe and opened the page of modern world history. The feudal Britain suffered from invasions at the cost of blood and tears. But the wise men learned more from the invaders and made development step by step. What happened in Britain in the modern age? Did the British change their fate? Maybe the next lecture will help you get the answer. See you.